Majora's Mask is known for a lot of great reasons. Whether it's the lengthy and memorable side quests that have both positive and negative potential outcomes, or whether it's the clutching atmosphere that gives you an emotional ride that's wilder than Space Mountain itself. But one thing it's not typically known for is its list of dungeons. Sure, some of them are pretty epic, and some of them are even pretty annoying. And then there are some that are just... no. This is one of those dungeons that are... nope! Where the main concept of the majority of the moon is to test your skills with the transformation masks in a game of luck. Sounds fun. The Deku Scrub part isn't bad. Pretty self-explanatory, actually. You get shot out of some flowers, and you land on more flowers. Just like you've already done all game. But the Zora and Goron sections? Not so much. Just trial and error. With a lot of error. The Goron trial is set it and forget it, and hope nothing goes wrong. Usually it does. And the Zora trial is which of these random paths, with no hints whatsoever, gets me to the correct destination. It's a damn good thing the end of the world timer doesn't count down while you're stuck in the moon, because Termina would have definitely ended for me. The only redeeming parts of the moon is the relaxing environment of the main area with the big tree, the item that you acquire here being the legendary Fierce Deities mask, and the Human Link area where you do random puzzles and go from room to room overcoming obstacles. Other than these three things, just get ready to cringe when you enter the moon. Woodfall Temple has a pretty cool design, with its pink poisonous waters that need purifying in order to progress throughout the dungeon, as well as its overall gloomy design that needs to be lit up with torches. Typically this is a negative thing, but Woodfall seems to make it fitting enough to accept it as okay. And as much as they freak me out to my core, the beehive strewed around this dungeon hiding various items is a nice little addition to the dingy tone of the temple. The music, on the other hand, while its tribal tone is very fitting for the dungeon, is irritating like fuck after about 5 minutes. Only amplified further by every time you screw up and not make the distance with the Deku Scrub, seeing as how his flight and hop time is usually only barely enough to get the job done. Not that that was a usual problem for me, I nailed most of my jumps and flights. But when you miss, even only once, and have to go all the way back up and try it again, the music might as well be laughing at you and prodding you with a stick, because patience doesn't seem to exist in this level. Snowhead Temple is actually pretty good. It has some excellent verticality providing some great views. And the music is pretty cool. And you get to transform into a beastly Goron, running around punching things and pounding switches. This temple also gives you your first elemental arrow as an item, and it is put to great use by melting the ice and lighting the out-of-reach torches. You also get your hands on the Lens of Truth just before entering this dungeon, and Snowhead doesn't let you forget it. The amount of hidden walls and pathways in this temple just adds to the mystery. Even if it's hiding that one last stray fairy that you've searched the entire structure for 3 times and still can't find. However, once you do find it though, you still manage to appreciate its secret nature. But keep an eye on your magic meter, because the fire arrows and the Lens of Truth seem to drain your magic meter quite fast. So does the Goron roll, which is extremely fun to use and very useful for getting somewhere quickly. But unfortunately, that fun can wear down quite fast when you're required to make precise turns and jumps at high altitudes within the Snowhead Temple. And that great verticality that I mentioned earlier can easily get frustrating because of it. It's one thing to fail a jump. It's quite another to fail a jump and have to ascend the entire temple all over again because of it. But that's a minor detail though. Take your time, plan your attack, and you'll do just fine. I feel like this place gets a bad reputation. Yes, it's frustrating trying to swim in the churning waters of that one room. Yes, it's difficult to navigate through the different tunnels. And yes, the main objective takes brain power to figure out which of the valves to activate and when. But personally, I think the Great Bay Temple is actually really cool. If you watch my top 10 Banjo-Kazooie Worlds video, I had Grunty Industries fairly high on the list. And that's exactly what the Great Bay Temple reminds me of. This factory-like dungeon uses the flow of water to progress further. Turning on or off certain valves controls the flow of water, spinning water wheels and gears allowing you to manipulate the very environment around you to your advantage. The ice arrows are also put to great use by creating stepping stones of ice on the water surface to walk on, as well as freeze the flows of water to stop the turning of the gears. And when combined with the fire arrows, you can freeze and melt to your heart's desire. Best illustrated by the room near the end of the dungeon with the seesaws. The Great Bay Temple can either be very frustrating or very fun depending on how you approach it. So before you arrive at the giant turtle island, remember to ask yourself one question. Is this dungeon gonna play me? Or am I gonna play it? This couldn't have been a surprise. Everywhere you look on the internet and everyone you talk to seems to think that the Stone Tower Temple is not only the best dungeon in Majora's Mask, but one of the best in the entire Zelda series. And I'm no different. This temple is packed to the brim with substance and quality, and it is fucking massive. The Stone Tower Temple is more of a final dungeon than the Moon was. Everything you have learned in the previous dungeons is put to use in an excellent and fitting way. You damn near use everything in your arsenal. Everything flows nicely and nothing feels forced. Even the newly incorporated LG of Emptiness mechanic. Okay, maybe that last one was used a little bit much, but it was still pretty useful and you learn to play it quite quickly. But that's a minor detail. In addition to the LG of Emptiness, the Mirror Shield is also a new toy that you obtain just before entering the dungeon. And if that wasn't already enough, the Stone Tower Temple throws 2 more dungeon items at you, each of them guarded by a separate mini-boss. Yes, you heard me. 2 new items, 2 mini-bosses, and even a second part of the temple itself, equipped with a second variant of the already awesome music theme. It's double everything! Once you think you are getting to the end of the dungeon, your world flips upside down. Quite literally. One of the 2 new items found in this dungeon is the Sacred Light Arrows, and they are used to make the Stone Tower Temple inverted. This changes the format of the temple drastically, almost to the point where it isn't even recognizable. Rooms that you have previously been in now look completely different, and the sky above is now a bottomless pit beneath you. This doubles the length of the dungeon, testing your endurance and stamina. Yet you don't even notice because of how fun it is. The only downside to this place is that the second item that you collect is only used in the boss fight. But I'm nitpicking. Plus, there are plenty of other distractions to keep you entertained within the Stone Tower Temple. This has been Mabus. And Majora's Mask didn't have a lot of dungeons to it, which ultimately made this list kind of short. However, if I ever do a ranking video on side quests or memorable moments, Majora's Mask might just be a little bit heavier represented, and things might just go a little bit differently. So in the meantime and in between time, stay tuned for more.